Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar for today. Reading should be fun. Explore the power of reading with highlights. I am your presenter for today. My name is Julie, and I'm so excited to be here to talk about the power of reading. I am grateful and so glad that all of you can be able to join me, especially I know that most of you are teachers and you are so busy. Thank you again for joining us. I hope that you will find this webinar worthy of your time. Just a quick note on what we will uh, talk about during this webinar. So the first thing that we will cover is about power of reading. That reading is the foundation skills of all other learning, the impact it has to our child or to our students, and how we could help our student and our children to discover a love of reading and provides you teachers with tools and support to their discovery on learning about reading. The second one that we will talk about are the challenges. We all know that there are learning crises in terms of reading literacy with the students, and we will talk about those challenges. And the third thing that we will cover will be the solutions for those challenges, for those learning crises that we are facing, especially in terms of our students. And at the end of this webinar, we'll have a question and answer. So just please, if you have any questions, just pop it on the question and answer box, and then we will be read that at the end of this webinar. And if you just miss anything, don't worry, we will send you the recording versions once it's available. So let me just start with introducing myself. So my name is Julie Santos. I am a professional training here at Knowledge Hub. I have a different backgrounds on training and I'm specialized in literacy platform. I'm presenting Knowledge Hub. Knowledge Hub is an education technology company. We are here in the business for the past 20 years, mostly in Middle East, Africa, and India region. And again, I will be with you for the next few minutes. And again, remember that if you have any questions, just feel free to put it on the chat box. And for those who just joined us, welcome. Welcome to the world of reading. Discover the power of reading and the opportunity to make reading fun. So without any further ado, let's get started. So, like as we all know, just to give you a quick brief about Highlights. So, Highlights Children has been dedicated for helping children to become themselves, to be curious, creative, caring, and confident. How? By publishing content and creating experiences that engage, delight, and foster joyful learning, which is the key thing for the students to have fun on reading. So in Highlights, we have a powerful belief about the power of reading and what will be the impact it can have on the world. And that's what we really want to start out with this webinar. We all know this importance of reading. We know that reading can increase the test scores of our children. We know that reading is an indicator of future success, both academically and in their careers beyond, even beyond school. And we all know that reading has an impact on their achievement and performance, not just about reading, but also in literacy skills and in other skills in the school. But where Highlights will come in? Why Highlights Library? Because Highlights Library are really focused on a whole child approach. We're fascinated by the research that shows how reading can help students to become more empathetic. And that one element can make everything work. In addition to their academic rigor and the reasons to having a focus on all those areas of reading. Because we really think that reading can change the life of the child. And when we change the life of a child, it can impact the world. We have here a sayings that if students or a children is today a reader, tomorrow, absolutely, they will be a reader. And we really want to frame it in that. Why happen? Because we know already the importance of reading, but we also know that there is a learning crisis. This is the reality. And we really are in the literacy crisis right now, especially in our schools. And frankly speaking, this is probably going to be exaggerated by the fact that many of the students are staying at home or maybe working remotely under the new pandemic circumstances. And the data shows that 40% of children, only 40% of children are receiving minimum proficiency levels of reading. So that means over 600 million students are below proficiency levels. And again, we're seeing this status from 2017, and this is really concerning with the fact that that students might be during at this time they might not have an access to the book, and we know that if the children can't read, they're going to struggle not just about reading but on all subjects. And why this happen, why we have this learning crisis, why do students struggle with reading, or why we do not put emphasis on reading when we already know the impact and the power of reading to our students and to our children? There are so many reasons. There are so many reasons why students get disinterested in reading. Let me show you or give you some examples. Most of the students, they feel bored whenever they are reading books. Why they feel bored? Because the book doesn't interest them. So if the book doesn't interest them, what happens is they are not motivated. And because there are a lot of distractions, like maybe they would rather play on a tablet or watch TV instead of reading, because they feel that it's boring, it doesn't interest them, they are not motivated. Some of the students, even they don't want to read, might be they don't have time to read on the school. And maybe at home, parents are not reading. It can be also one of the reasons. And they have lack of access of books. Now, when everything happens, this happens to our children, what happens is our student or our children will feel that reading is so hard. So when they know that it's so hard, they will stop trying. So now what happens to our child, or what happens to the students when they feel that reading is so hard? So the impact of this is the students will be disinterested in reading. They read less, right? So they are not interested, they read less, and then generally speaking, they are not excited on whatever books that you will give to them. And reading becomes like a chore with them. It's not a habit or not something that excites them. So they are not interested in reading. They spend less time on reading. So what happened? They fall behind their fears. So they struggle, they fall behind their fears. And what happened to their test scores? The test scores will be low. They will not do good in exam, and the other subjects will be impacted, and they will be struggled reader, and they are not motivated. So when all of this happen, this snowball process happens, our students or our children will be unmotivated and remain struggle through school and beyond. And the problem here is students will label themselves like that. They will feel and they will think and they will carry it throughout the school and might be beyond school that they are poor reader, they struggle to read, and they will stop trying. And the critical thing here is majority of the students that start reading late will always be behind their peers or with their classmates. Let me show to you a reading trajectory. And it is 90% probability that it will happen to a children or to our child. So let's say, for example, our student start reading in let's say, for example, late. What happened at the end of the school year for grade 1? They will be labeled as struggled readers. And at the end of grade 3, they will be a struggled reader compared to the successful reader. But we can change it. We can still change this chart. How? By putting or by instilling the love of reading through our children or to our students. Make them excited about reading. then let's put them on a path, a proficiency path that they will love whatever the books that they will read. So it's just a completely path that will relate to them. A book that they will love, a book that they will improve their academic outcomes. So that's what we need to focus on. And it's not too late for us to start. Might be we feel that it sounds daunting and it sounds complicated, but we have solutions on that. And that's where Highlights Library will come in. It's actually simple and we want to be simple both for teachers and students for highlights. So what is Highlights Library? So Highlights Library is a comprehensive digital platform that gives our children or the students to have an access on an engaging content for about 2,700 level stories in English. Mostly, Highlights Library are focuses on children discover a love of reading and providing educators with tools and support to their discovery. So the students will be motivated, they are engaged, and they will be connected, and they will be successful not just academically, but also in beyond school level. And so, to make it simple, we break down into 4 different key areas that we want to talk about. These key areas will help us to give the students the love of reading and to make reading fun for them. So the first one is about access. The first thing that's important is to give access to the book. It's to engage the students, to delight them, and to support them into their further reading activities. So these are the 4 pillars that we will emphasize on this webinar. Give students an access, engage them, delight them, and then give them support. So the first thing is access. So access here is the most important part. Give access to our students for the books. So as I mentioned earlier, Highlights Library offers about almost 2,700 topics. And all those titles are divided into 10 categories, fictions and non-fictions, and all the books have an embedded audio, they have a dictionary, they have those scaffolded tools to help our students to learn reading. And then, and another thing, it's just the access will be to give them an access. That's the key here. So here, for Highlights Library, they also, you have an options to give, to allow the students to access the books into the web. So access also means that access wherever they are. So Highlights Library can be accessed on the web as well as on the mobile browser, as well as on an applications. And the good thing here is the students, they can read offline. So they can just download the books on their applications and read it offline. They can download unlimited books and they can read it offline and do also the other activities that we have for highlights. It's just very simple. Give them the access, walk into their own library, choose the books that they wanted to read, and then support them on their further reading. We also, as per the research also, children who's growing up having at least 20 books will get 3 years more schooling than children who are bookless at home. Another thing that research shows is we just have to give 15 minutes a day. It's just sort of baseline or a critical time frame or a minimum amount of reading that that our students need to do to really have a huge impact on their reading fluency. So you heard it right, just 15 minutes, a baseline, a time frame that we have to give to the students. And by the way, students, when they are playing on their tablet or they do any play on their mobile, 15 minutes is just nothing. But here, 15 minutes is worthy in terms of reading. So it's just some sort of best practice that we have to instill with our students. That's sort of what we need to encourage to our students, to our teachers, and to our parents, that those baseline amount of reading makes our children to be successful. So that's what we have to do. Let's give an access to the students of the book. The next one is engage the student. How we can be able to engage our students with the book? So the first thing that the students, when they log into the highlights library, is they will do a placement exam. So it can be between 5 to 10 questions. So they will answer the questions, and the placement exam is basically, it's based on the age level of the students. So once they answer the questions, it will give them to their right level, and it will have an equivalent Lexile level. And what happened is, on that particular placement level, books will be recommended based on their level, based on their age, and based on their interest. And student can start reading. The moment that student finish the placement exam and system put them on the correct level, they will have this today's book, which is a really good features. So the moment that they log in, Highlights Library will tell to them, hey, this is the recommended book for you. Read it. So the students will read that. So once the students read that particular book, this is how it shows to the students. So they will have like some scaffolded tools that is available for them. They'll have like narrations. They could be able to highlight the word. They could be able to highlight the sentence. They could have those library. And that's it. Another thing is, once they finish reading the books, system will again offer to them to read another books, or they could go to their home page and they could see their goal. So goal will be different per student. It depends on how much they need to improve. So let me just, I will just go to our platform, and I'll show to you how the students will log in with Highlights Library. So this is the browser part of the Highlights Library. So the students, they just have to log in with your ID and password. And once they sign in, the first thing is they have to configure their age. After that, they will have the placement exam. Let me show to you how the placement exam will go. So they just have to start.
Match the word to the correct picture.
So it will also
Ball.
have a sounds to let the students help if they want to, someone to read aloud for that particular questions. And then they can start choosing the correct answer. Then they move to the next
Match
level.
the word to the correct picture. Cat.
So let's say I can select anyone if I wanted to.
Match the picture to the correct word.
Let's say
A. Coat. B. Duck. C. Bell. D. K.
So even the multiple choice, it can be read aloud to the children. So it's like a picture, and it will help the students to recognize what that picture is all about.
Match the picture to the correct word.
So let's
A.
run.
Match the sentence to the correct picture. Match the sentence to the correct picture. The dog is black and white.
So questions that will come to this placement exam, it can be a sentence completions, it's about picture, it can be also a short passage. It depends on the level of the
Match the
student.
picture to the correct sentence. Match the picture to the correct sentence. Look at the image and read the sentence. Choose the answer that best completes the sentence. They. The ball.
So they even know which one is
A.
the blank question,
Kick.
and they can read out
B.
loud for that.
Eat. C. Look at the image and read the sentence. Choose the answer that best completes the
So let's
sentence.
say I answered it. So 10 questions has been completed. It will tell them what is their level. So this is the student name. This is the day-to-day where they do the placement exam. They can see the score, and it will be assigned a level to them. In Highlights Library, we have a 30 level, and those level have a corresponding Lexile level range for the reading. So this will be the students. When I click Start Reading, what happened is it will pop up the today's book. So this is, as I mentioned earlier, it's one of our favorite features here, because every day, students will receive a recommended book. And these recommendations is based on the student reading level, and it's fresh every day. So students will receive a different books, based on the different recommendations, and it will also be different from their classmate or from their colleague. So at the moment that students log in, they will read the book. So once they read that, so we'll go to the platform itself. I have an options here, different options for reading. So I can have an options for autoplay. I have an options to play or
Ready for
read
school.
aloud. And I have an options to go back and then
Charlie was
highlight
helping
by
Tex and
word.
Indy get ready for their first day of school. No, Charlie, said Indy, scooting him off her special first day.
If I stop that, so it is as you can see, it is highlighted word by word. If I want to highlight it by sentence, I can just move that and play,
Of school
and
outfit.
it will be highlighted by sentence. I can also have this dictionary inside the book. So for example, what is the meaning of school? So it will show to you a picture dictionary, and at the same time, what will be the definitions on that. And it can give an example also to the students. So it will enhance their vocabulary. They will understand more, and they will have an ability to comprehend what are the stories all about. Let's just move.
No, Charlie, said Tex, taking Charlie out of his new backpack. Said Mom, smiling. It looks as if somebody wants to go to kindergarten with you.
So the story itself.
Oh, sorry,
Even
Charlie, said
the way
Tex.
how it is
Kitties aren't allowed.
narrations, it comes with the intonations, and it relates really to the students. They understand, they see, and they feel how the story is all about.
In school, but we promise to tell you all about it when we get home. After school, Tex and Indy rushed home to tell Charlie all about their first day. Our teacher, Miss French, is so nice, Indy told Charlie. I got to water our tree.
So if
And
I
we
move
all
to the
drew
next
pictures
page,
of our families.
so let's say I go to the last page. What happened is once the student read the book, by default, there will be a quiz for them. And this quiz will just to test if about the students' comprehensions about the story. So all the book has 5 questions related to the book itself. So the students, they can just go ahead and answer those quiz. So you could just select that, move to the next question. And then you could see here, so if the students don't understand the book itself, so the score will be 0, and the teachers will have an options to see that particular score. So it's something good for us as teachers to see if the students understand the book itself. And as teachers also, we can assign a particular book as an assignment, get a results of their quiz, a report, and also with other activity. The students also have an option to review the answer if you give them an access, and it's an access or permissions that you can give to them. If the students wants to check what is the correct answer on that particular questions, they can just click that and they will see what will be the correct answer. So this is a permissions that we can enable or disable if we wanted to. Now, once I click OK, what happened is again, Highlights Library will recommend a book to the students to engage them and to help them continue reading. So let me just click home and let's see what will be the home page of the student. So this is the student's home page, and every student, so see, good job, a reward is awaiting for you. The reason is because I pass might be on the number of books that I have to read for this particular month or this particular weeks, or might exceed also the number of minutes that I have to read. So the students, they always have a different goal, and that goal will help them to reach and to level up to the next level on Highlights Library. So the student's goal is to read about 76 books, and once the students read about 76 books, they will improve to the next level. On the dashboard itself of the students, we could see like what will be the reading interest, what will be the recommended books per their level, and if in case of teachers assign any assignment, and the recent book that they open. They could also see here the badge, what is the ranking that they are. So here in Highlights Library, we keep on motivating the students by giving them badge or even a certificate once they finish reading different number of books. So these are the ways on how we could be able to engage the student. The next one that we have to talk about is delight. So how we could be able to delight our students. So the moment that our students log into the Highlights Library, they'll be able to have an option to choose different categories. So we have 10 categories that are available for the students to choose from. And then let's say if the students selected, let's say friends and family, it will show to them what are those books related to families and friends, and they could choose books about friendship, which might be the students will love. Another new features that we added for Highlights Library are the Readers Plus books. So what are those Readers Plus? So Readers Plus are collections of books that includes voice recording. So here it's not just about the students will read book, but we have also an options wherein we could ask the students to record their voice and we could hear that as a teachers and we could see their grade. And here on Highlights Library, we have like as a technology that we use to correct or to grade automatically the speech of the students. So we use a technology for voice recording, such as the complex algorithm to evaluate the students' recording. So that's how it is. So we have an extra activities, which is something good. So they will speak, and those sentence or phrases is mainly available in the book itself. Another thing that they will have post extra activities is about listening. So, and then we have also thinking. So these are extra post activities that we have added into Highlights Library to help the children to further their reading and development by completing this, aside from the videos and animations and the badges that they have. So we really want to delight the students with all those activities. Let me show to you how this speaking, listening, and thinking will work. So let me just bring this. So let's say, for example, I'm on a teacher login just to bring this Readers Plus. So you have here on the learning, and I have to go to the book. So you will see all the compilations of books that is available. I will just filter it with Readers Plus, and if I filter that, all of them, which is like circled in green, it means that they have an extra activity. So let's say I want to search for a particular book that I love, and it's a Readers Plus, so it will be shown to you as Reader Plus. When you click on the information, it will show to you on which level this particular book, what is the Lexile level, how many words it has, how many page, and what will be the guided reading level, and what will be the categories. And these are the extra activities that they have. So we know already that they can read a book and they will attend a quiz. What is video? So video is some sort of animation that the students can watch exactly the same as a book, but it's more lively. So the students can, they can really connect with the book itself. Let me show to you how does it looks like.
At the Store by Marianne Mitchell, art by Carrie Pillow. Rico and Dad were shopping for groceries. "We need some fruit," said Dad. Rico said, "I like bananas." He helped Dad pick out bananas. "Let's look for some vegetables," said Dad.
And this videos, it's exactly the same as on the book, but it's sort of animations. It means that students, especially if they love to read stories, they can easily relate. They can make a personal connections with that stories itself.
Rico reached for potatoes. He said, "I like potatoes."
So this is just the video. Now, if I want to see how the speaking will work to the students, Let's just go to the speaking. And it's about improve the oral speaking skills of the students by recording their voice. Students will listen to the sentence from the book and then record themselves reading the sentence aloud. So let's see how this works. Let's start.
Listen and read, then record. Rico and Dad were shopping for groceries. Ready, go!
Rico and Dad were shopping for groceries. So I'll stop that. So what happened is there is a technology that measures the recording of the students. So it uses a complex algorithm to evaluate students' recording that assess a key different criteria or dimensions. It can be speech, it can be intonations, speed and phonetics, and then fluency. The student, they have an options to re-record again themselves or to play it back. Rico and Dad were shopping for groceries. So let's say if I want to do it again.
Ready, go!
Rico and Dad were shopping for groceries. I'll stop and system will give me a grade based on that particular mentions that I mentioned. Then it's 5 questions that they have to listen and read and then record.
We need some fruit, said Dad. Ready, go!
We need some fruit, said Dad. So as you can see here, it shows grade. So now there will be like 3 categories on how we could grade the students, and it's on the system itself. We don't have to do it as a teachers. Everything will be graded by the system. So it's either needs practice. It means that the grade will be less than 50. It's about good. So it will be their score will be a 75 and below. And if it's great, it means 76 and above. So this is how they could be able to see the speaking. Now, if I want to move on listening, so the teachers or the students will have those unscrambled words that it will be read for them aloud, and then this will increase the sentence structure. It's about understanding and listening comprehensions. So let me just click start.
Listen to the sentence, then unscramble the words in the sentence. Rico and Dad were shopping for groceries.
So the students, they will just click Rico, and so they have to select whatever they want for, and they can just click submit. Now, if it's wrong, it will show also to them what will be the correct answer.
We need some fruit, said Dad.
So we need some fruit, said Dad. So once I click submit and it's correct, it will also be highlighted as green. So the benefits of this is the students will know about the sentence pattern. It's about sequences and structure. It's about punctuations and capitalization recognitions and a vocabulary comprehension. So there will be also 5 questions, and all of them are related to the book. The last one that is one of my favorite is the thinking activity. So in thinking activity, it's about checking students' comprehensions with critical thinking questions. So the students are encouraged to explore their thoughts and creativity to further understand their story. So if I click thinking, they will be given 3 to 5 questions. And that question
Think about it to begin
Answer
the
the
activity
question
below.
So that questions itself is coming from the book. So if they don't understand the book, they'll not be able to answer this particular question. So let's say, for example, they went to grocery. What kind of things let's say, for example, it's about fruits. What treat, let's say, for example, ice cream. Rico and Dad make, for example, a good thing. The best part about thinking activity is the last question. The final questions that has been given to the child is about challenging the students to make connections to their own life and offer an opinion to extend the impact of the story to them. So they could get, so here on the questions, do you go to the store with mom and dad? What is your favorite item to buy? So now the students will try to remember if they go with mom or dad, what are the things that they are buying? So they'll put their personal connections with the book. So for example, they go for shopping and they love to eat chocolate with the mom. So the benefits of this for this thinking activity is about critical thinking, it's about reading comprehensions because they cannot be able to answer if they don't understand the book, and about writing and spelling. So these are the different activities that are included in most of our Readers Plus books that the students will enjoy. So now the last part that I want to explain will be about the support which we will give to the students and as well as to our as teachers. So of course, kids who have trouble reading are often trying as hard as they can. So they are the students or the children that they need better support to improve than others. But how we could support them as an educators, as a teachers? So here in Highlights Library, we have extensive teacher resources to make it easy for the teachers to support the students' reading experiences. We have Highlights Library Academy videos, which will show to the teachers on how they could fully use the platform. We have a different book resources that is available. You have a classroom materials, you have academic standards, and you have a user guide. You could also create an assignment and assign it to the students. You could assign start and end date, and you could easily copy, add that to a folder and reuse it on future classes. Another thing is on the support, you could easily track the progress of your students. You could easily track what are their reading activity and what will be their improvement. So that will be on the support that we're giving. And this is the highlights reading level correlation. So just to show to you the support that we have, so it's actually available even in the platform itself. You don't have to go anywhere else. It's available inside the platform. So onto the support side, you'll have these book resources. So book resources, we have here around 500 book resources that is available. Especially those are the books that has social emotional learning books. And if you click this view, you could see what are the book resources inside. Lesson plan, teaching master, multiple choice questions, oral reading assessment that you could use. You could download that and you could use that as a teacher. So tons of them are available for you. You have here the classroom material. So if you will do the highlights library into the classroom, what are the things that you could use? You have here some printable worksheet. It can be printed to help the classes on learning, to encourage them on reading. You'll have here also a Readers Plus Thinking Questions Answer Guide. So if you open this one, it will show to you what are the typical answers that you might get from your student, what will be the correct answer. Plus, you will have also here a rubrics on how to grade the student, especially on the thinking activity. So if it's correct and which one is need practice, and all of them can be downloadable. What will be the teacher guide? What will be the oral reading assessment? So how to print the reading progress charts and some printable hidden features that will encourage the students especially to participate and to engage on the class discussions. You have your academic standards, so where it is exactly aligned. And so mostly the highlights library, it is aligned with the CASEL. So it's about social emotional learning core competencies, and what are those competencies that we are aligning, especially for highlights library. And this is one of the core and most important alignment that we should know, especially to teach to our students, to have a self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. And all of those books that is Voices Leveled Library has all these social emotional learning. You will never, when using Highlights Library, you will never be lost because user guide is also available for you. So you have here a user guide on how to use the platform itself, and all of them can be downloadable. We also have here the Highlights Academy Library, wherein you will see a different or a lot of activities and a lot of ideas on how to fully use a highlights library, how to assign a social emotional learning titles, how to use highlights library at home or even in the school. So these are some sort of highlights library. As a teachers also for doing an assignment, so when you go to the learning, you will see exactly what are the assignment that you've given to the students. You could see that. You can have a student review. And then if in case you want to review a specific students for their assessment or for their assignment, I could just view for that particular student. And even I could just replay those extra activities that I give to them. So for example, here I have the quiz. I can see the results of the students. And speaking, I could hear also the recording. So
I like to play songs.
So you could listen very clearly on the recorded voice of the students. I could click this.
I like to play
And you
tag.
could see what will be the grade that has been given by the system itself. Same thing for the listening. Do they do it right? And then on the thinking, what will be the questions that has been given to the students and what will be the personal connections. And as a teacher, you could also add a comment. You could, as a teachers, there's a lot of things that you could do. You could print all the reports that is available for your students. You could have a quick statistics on how many books that has been read by your students, and you can even you can also print that later on and check, and then see how does it works. On the student log, you can see it by student or class view. The very interesting thing here is even you didn't assign a book as a homework, you could see the reading history of a student. You could see what are how many books they have just read, what are the content of areas that they like, and you could see here those books that they just read and what videos they just watched and what are the activities that they are doing. And at the same time, you could just click this on the speaking, and then you could just easily play that particular thing for the students. So this is great. You could listen to that. And
We need some fruit, said Dad.
so you could just see that. So that's some sort for the highlights library. I hope that you get a good information about what is highlights library. So the four main key areas is to give an access to our students, to engage them, and then to delight. So once the students become a reader and they become fluent in reading, so what does it impacts to our children? So it's about confidence and fluency, academic success, and social and emotional learning. And in the beginning of this webinar, we said that we have only 40% of students who have a minimum proficiency levels on reading. But let's change the world. Together, let's make it as a reality to make 100% that all our students could be able to have an access and to be a better reader. So that's all for my webinar. So thank you very much. We'll now begin for the answering some questions that you just submitted for presentations. So if you still have any questions, you could also put it there on our chat box, and then we'll check what are the questions that you have. So let me see, like some questions that might be, it's pop up here. Okay, so there will be like a very good questions that coming. So someone asked like what kind of books or series of books are available in Highlights Library. So Highlights Library, we have like some four main series. So we have Read with Highlights. These are collections of stories from High Five and Highlights magazine that are like child level, and mostly they are fiction and non-fiction topics. We also have like Read with Highlights science collections. It's from age 3 to 8. And these collections is like Read with Highlights is about to jumpstart the children's on STEM educations. The topic is varies from physical to life sciences, and it is like developed using next generation science standards, and the students will enjoy their journey from reading science collections. And then we also have here a voices leveled library. So it's about series of books that is contain social emotional learning. So at that particular books, which is age appropriate, so children will progress through the series. They just not only deepen their reading skills, but have a positive relationship with those in around the world. They learn how to manage emotions and overcome challenges. And the Readers Plus, which we see earlier, that has a different books that has a different activity like reading, speaking, and listening. And we also have like around 200 plus videos and stories. So that's how the content of highlights come. We have also another questions here like, is all books have quiz and what is the quiz? So yes, all the books has a quiz and the quiz has 5 questions and you can take the quiz after reading a book to check the students' comprehensions and vocabulary. So is highlights library free? So what we could do is we could send to us on the particular email that I pop in here. So I'll just you could just send an email to info@knowledgehub.com and we could support you on that particular thing, and might be we could be able to, we'll try if we could be able to provide you with your school with highlights library. We can maybe pilot that even on your school. Okay, another thing that we'll have here is, can the students have an access to highlights library from their mobile device? Yes, and they can also read offline. Any questions that you might have? So again, so might be we don't have any more questions. So thank you once again. Thank you everyone for attending for today webinars. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us on the email that you are seeing on your screen. You could also call us and we will attend to you and we will answer any questions that you might have. You will also receive a follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with the link of the video recording for today's webinar, and you could share that to your colleagues and to anyone that you think that will be beneficial for them for Highlights Library. So once again, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.